Hello, people. So today I want to speak about something that I've been thinking about for a long time. So I did a lot of research for so many years. I did a lot of looking. I've been to a lot of places. I speak multiple languages, get multiple degrees. I'm a person who's well educated, I would say. And I want to. And I came from a very brutal background. I came from very brutal circumstances, as you might already know. And there's some things that it's very hard to sort of speak about, to sort of analyze what is going on in today's society. As a young man, you're not able to escape slavery, you're not able to go anywhere, you're not able to have a decent relationship, you're not even to have uh you know and so in this video I want to discuss the rule of boomers, feminism, and the actual origin of feminism, and how's all of this do together. And so listen closely to this, right? So everybody thinks that feminism came because women needed to have right, women have been oppressed, patriarchy, all of these things, right? And men, you just need equality, blah blah blah. um this point has a lot of issues with it. One of the issues with it, that for a long time, humanity has not been in this privileged situation where one gender was more privileged than the other. So this is one thing. So for most of human history, it was more or less equal. Maybe not. If you come to all the details, maybe not exactly, but otherwise, it was not like what these people are saying. And then you would have another thing, which is that women in the 60s and the 70s, they have been more free, they've been more equal than you could ever be, because you got all of these hygiene technologies, you have got all the pills and the stuff that would allow a woman functionally to act like a man. Because before that, a woman would bleed, would get pregnant if she does the do outside of wedlock. So right now they've been more liberated. They've been more liberated. They don't have a bleed everywhere. They don't catch diseases. They've been more equal than ever. So just for a person who's looking at all this, like, so how does that make sense? And then you go back and you hear much of the stories, blah blah, like, oh, we were getting beaten with a mop handle. Many women you might hear from your moms, from your grandmoms, how their dads treated them. And part of that is cultural, I can admit that. But then you got another part, which is I dig deeper into this, right? So, like, when did it? So a common story you would like hear, that you would hear here and there, maybe Bill Burr, maybe some comedians, some historians. A common trope is a man comes from work tired, angry, beats his wife, right? So this is what happens, right? So what does that lead you to? So okay, so let's kind of go back and dissect what is happening here. A man coming tired from work, angry, and that's why he beats his wife. I think what is going on, I think what went on is that, so you got men at some point, they have lost. They have lost to the Z people. They have lost. They've been so brainwashed, that this is about the time where kind of the wages are not catching up to the cost of living. So this is where everything started. So at the 60s and the 70s and stuff in the 80s, it's where basically the gap between the rich and the poor started to rise, and that would manifest in day-to-day basis with men that are basically have to work more, have to work harder, getting less money, getting less respect, and have to deal with that. And they were so pampered before that. These men, they have had it so good before that, so that when something like this happened, they broke instantly. They would be angry. They would hit their wives, maybe their kids. They're easy to psychologically break because they went through nothing. Like right now, the men are going through a lot more than what these boomers went through, and we're handling it we have to handle it a lot better than them. We're going through 10 times. We are getting paid way less because the dollar value is way less. So we are getting paid way less. We are people without families to begin with, without relationships, with no opportunity, with mental illnesses as they call them, with anxiety, with depression, isolated from society, aimless, pointless, in a place controlled by non by foreign governments. And somehow we are doing better because those boomers were so pampered that when this happened to them, like when you're a coward, so you don't face the thing that is depriving you from your right. No, you take it out on the weaker people. So that's what a coward is. Those people were cowards. These boomers, not all of them, but many of them were cowards. And I'm not saying that because they're hitting their family. I'm saying that because instead of facing the true injustice, going and be like, hey, why is my life going to crap? Let's fight the system. And instead of doing that, they will go and take it out on their weak family members. They would take it out on their wives, on their kids. So this is what happened. And, you can blame them, you cannot. But so from right there on, you see, the powerful people saw an opportunity in that. So you would think the powerful people care about men's life, about women's life, about oh, you're so poor woman, you're getting beaten, let me liberate you. It's never been about that. So you see, they took this opportunity, right? And so what they did is that, oh, okay, let's take women to have their own job so they can be in control. Which what happened then? So you have the market saturation now. You got both genders to be working at the workplace so that you can pay them less because it's the demand because it's all the offering and the demand, the supply and the demand. You got a lot of people who are willing to work so you can afford them to pay less because it doesn't matter what you can do as a man. They probably could hire a woman who would take half of your salary. So it was a benefit to the upper class people like that, and is furthermore they just capitalizing on it, right? So what they're doing now that they're pushing feminism to not only crush younger guys so that they never compete with those rich people. So you kill something at the cradle. Those Monopoly is a guy who owns Walmart, so they went from killing their competition, their big competitor, their big competition, to now smaller businesses, to smaller businesses, to small businesses, and then they reach to kill even a man's dream from the beginning. You don't even let that man be able to start a business. Heck, you would kill them, you would murder them, metaphorically. Even as a kid, you would destroy their freaking soul so that they don't even have a chance to grow to being an adult who would even start a business that even if he did, it would fail. So, and then what happened there is that, so you have, then they capitalize on it, that they would take away men from their kids. They would have single women, which are easier to brainwash. It is scientifically objective. It has been established that women are more susceptible to brainwashing, to being delusional. Basically, what everybody already knows, that they're better at following. They're not good leaders. They're better followers. That's the nature of women. God made them this way. Or if you're a believer in evolution, evolution made them this way. It's to be a mother, to be this. And obviously it's not everybody, but it's more like an average thing. So it's 90% of them, 80%, 85%. So the point is that if we track it back, right, so you got the powerful people, the people in control, who are, I'm not sure if they're the same people who are the foreign government or they're people who are collaborating with them. But yeah, so they crushed men. And those men, they at that generation they were cowards. They took it out on the woman. A woman wanted some sort of a revenge or like to get back at them. The powerful people took advantage of that and shook their hands like, all right, we're gonna give you that. But secretly, they didn't really give them that. They gave them a fake thing, a fake revenge. In order to advance further their control and atomizing of the population, so that you are raised by a single mother who is mostly brainwashed. so that you don't have as much access to your dad that might be able to teach you a thing or two about what's going on. So, and that lead us more to the boomers and the simpy boomers. So you're a kid. You're trying to date. You cannot date. You cannot find a lady. All of them are not decent people. You're gonna run and your dad is acting sort of like Tucker Carlson. It's like, oh, just listen to them. Just do that. They have never been in a situation. They've been simpy. These boomers have been cowardly, have been simpy, that they don't know anything else. You should not listen to them. If you're a young kid, boomers' advice about marriage and about relationships are not gonna be good. If you think that they know better, no, they don't. They don't know better. They have been simping their entire life, and it worked for them because the cost of living back then, it was a lot better. You see, it was a lot better back then. They had it pampered, they had it made, and so they think this still works. It does not. You're, as a guy right now, your value is in the dumps, buddy. It's not gonna work. Simping is only gonna make it worse. But these boomers, they don't know that. They have no idea. They've been simping. They've been cowardly. You know. And I'm not speaking about old boomers here. If you're a boomer, you're watching me, and if you wanna, like, so you could give your take. You might have a different take on it. You might see a different point of view. And this not everybody, but this is at least what happened in my family. This is at least what happened in my life. People who are like way older than me, they don't understand what I'm going through, and not just me, but even kids in my age. All people who are from 25 to 30. All of my friends in that age group have never been married. They're just trying to get at scraps, to like barely trying to get something. you know. It's just really a sad state of affairs. But yeah, so there you have it. Like, I just wanted to say that this is because these same people, these same boomers, they will gaslight you as a kid, especially as a boy. They will gaslight you. They'll make you feel like, oh, you are such stupid and you have no idea and you should just listen to them and you're just a little kid. It's because they're so pampered, because they didn't know anything else. They've been pampered. They got in the best generation. It is the generation where the human population went from 1 billion to 7 billion people in like 1 or 2 generations. It was an immense growth all over the world, not just in America, because some boomers are from other. It's the same kind of thing, even by their standards. And so those boomers, because this has been affecting me personally and affecting people around me. They would come, they would tell you how that you suck, that you don't know what you are doing, that don't follow your passions, blah blah blah. You're dumb, you're this, you're that. They just put you down continuously. They're doing the system's job for them. And what I want to say to you is that to not listen to them and to understand what I'm telling you now. These people, this is what happened. They're pampered. They don't know what they're talking about. They're not the heroes. Your father, your uncle, if he was acting like that, he's not the hero that you think that he is. Unfortunately, he's not what you think he is. You're most likely a lot better than him, actually. If you can handle this and you can keep it going, if you handle a lot worse than what he could handle, then you're a lot better than him. You don't own nothing. Your work is way harder. You work more hours. You don't get rest. You don't have a lot of money, and you're not hitting anybody around you. You're doing 10 times, 100, 1,000 times better than him. You're not gaslighting people. You're not emotionally blackmailing people. You're not manipulating people. You're not throwing your own failures onto other people, or not blaming everybody around you. You just want a better life. I can understand, like, somebody could say, but you are blaming people on this and that. It's not more so. It's not the blame. It's more so that I want people to understand this reality, especially for younger people, so that they don't fall for it. You see, because I fell for it for 10, 15 years. I was denied to have a sense of self. I was denied to have my own person. I was beating to submission to the point where I didn't have my own person, and by a miracle, I started to have somewhat of my own person. I pushed and I went away, and until this very moment, the boomers in my life, they're trying to beat submission back into me, but the genie is out of the bottle. Genie is out of the bottle, buddy. I ain't going back. I ain't going back. I tell you that much. You know, and the more that I'm standing up for myself, the more that I see it. The more that I see that, how cowardly they are, how much they've been pampered, their decisions are trash. They just had it better, you know. They have a family, he has a wife, they have all what a Gen Z person would ask for, and they still want more. They want you to submit, they want you under the boot. So don't give them that. Don't fall for their crap. And if you're a boomer, you're watching this, I hope you have not been one of those people. If you have not been one of those people, you're golden. We like you. This is not about you. You're a respectable person. You have never been involved in crap like that. You never gaslit your son. You never try to crush them down to make them like some sort of a puppet. Um, and you did your best. Then that's what matters at last. But right now, we are in need of this realization. We need to realize that. We need to realize our situation and our place in the world as young men. I'm saying this for myself. I'm not even talking, to necessarily anybody. I want to remember this. I'm making these videos to practice my public speaking, to practice saying my opinions out loud without being scared that nobody's gonna come and somehow like boink me. Nobody's gonna do anything to me. I'm entitled to my own opinions, and so should you. So should everybody. This is a scream of becoming free, of becoming myself, of not hesitating, of the stuttering is getting less and less as I'm doing these. So this is partially, I'm doing this for me. So if somebody's coming at me, be like, who are you to speak, or who you speaking to? Maybe I'm just speaking for me. I'm speaking for myself in the future. So when I watch these things, I inspire my own self. Maybe I inspire other kids as well. Then that's a good that I would welcome. But yeah, so just realize that. Know where feminism came from. It has never been about liberating women. It has been about enslaving you. Feminism, from the get-go, it was hijacked. From the get-go, from the very beginning of it, it was hijacked by powerful people who slowly but surely owned your freaking life. How about that for a twist? And now we're in this situation we are in. So yeah, there you have it, folks. You see feminism, you see these things. You're wondering how did we come to this situation? It's by design. It's by design. Um, all of these movements, all of these things that have been hijacked from the start. They knew where it would lead. They had calculated it in order to rig the market, in order to rig the job market, in order to control over you, your kids, your women even. And this also kind of a dark a dark reality to that, which is that they basically, so if you're rich, you own all the women basically, not all, but most, So because if you're a billionaire, you could basically sleep with any woman, including the one that you right here might like and might not have access to. You know, this is not an argument against billionaires and against making money. This is an argument of the huge wealth gap. Because at a certain point, if you have nothing and the other person have everything, you got nowhere to go. You're totally in submission to him. You cannot reach that person. This is not a free market anymore. This is a monopolized market. This is an oligarchy, and this is not a free market anymore. A free market is where everybody is allowed to share their product, their services without blocks, barriers. Is being allowed to heck. You would need to be able to be your own self first. It is a free market when there is multiple persons, selves, right? If crush every self, you don't want anybody to have any sense of self from the get-go, You brainwash their moms. You brainwash them from the. You eliminate competition from the very beginning. This is not a free market anymore, buddy. It is not a free market. It just I'm sorry to just say that, but it is what the truth is. It is not a free market. It's a funny thing because many of us grew up thinking, "Oh, we have the best free market." Heck, about this topic, free market. They did not invent that. America did not invent the free market. They say that because so this is something else. So in Europe, right? So in Europe, they basically never had a free market in that sense. It was always controlled because you got feudalism. The premise of feudalism is not a free market, but free market did exist in the Middle East. They've been always. It's the basic. It's the second step from barter. So you exchange things. I give you my spices, and you give me your olive oil or some crap like that. So this is the barter system, right? And so people were like, okay, this is inconvenient. Let's have a medium of exchange. Call it money, the currency, right? And so that's where it started. So it's been a free market in many places around the world, and then it got more controlled. But in Europe, this has never been the case. For the most part, it has been feudalism. So the king and then all the lord controls everything. So when they went to America and they'd be like, you know what, we're gonna make a free market. It was a revolutionary to them, but not to the world. And so this is where the misunderstanding happened. People think that America invented the free market. No, it did not. It invented it within the realm of the West, not overall over in the world. Um, but nevertheless, this is not a free market anymore. We are we have officially, formally. I'm declaring it here now. We have reverted to feudalism. We have reverted back to feudalism under different names, under different stuff, but it is the same system now. You have a landlord, you have a job lord, and you have a king or a big lord. It's like techno feudalism, if you want to call it that. And so you're as a young kid, I just want you. This is something that your parents might not tell you about. Your mom is not gonna tell you about this. Is gonna, your mom, your parents, where you grew up in, they will shelter you from this because they think it's the right thing to do, because the society is so feminized that they actually think that this is the correct thing to do, to shelter you from the reality of the world. So when you're older and you just smack into this, it will take you time to even know what is going on. And by that time, your mental capacity is gonna be slower. You see, your mental capacity is this best in your teenage years, and then maybe until 25. By 30, you're starting to slow down. Your memory, is starting to kind of slow down. So these are your best years. And if you're in your 30s, your 20s, you still have a lot of time, because this thing where your memory is getting worse, your mental capacity is getting worse, is gonna continue becoming worse and worse as time goes by. So you gotta, like, you're in a race with time to understand what the reality is, and then to work on it before that it's past you. So this is very important. You have to understand that. You have to understand what the reality of things are as young as possible, so you can start to deal with what the reality is. What the reality is that you most likely is getting nowhere. You gotta struggle, and by immense luck and hard work and being smart and having connections, and you gotta just throw yourself out there to try to get some little piece of the pie if you ever hope to have any sort of anything. Because otherwise you're gonna be slaving away until the moment that you die, until that you're thrown in your nursing home. That's what the reality of the situation is. Unfortunately, it's very brutal. I know. If you're hearing me this, and you're a younger, if you're an older person, you probably already know about this. You know how effed up this situation is. But if you're a younger person, you have not heard this before. Don't listen to me. Go look it up yourself. Ask some older people who are, good. Ask people who are in their 30s, who are in their 40s, people who are honest, people who are decent. Ask them how things are. Don't listen to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I traveled to so many countries. I've spoken to so many people, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. Who the heck knows, right? But yeah, I'm just doing this literally because I wish that somebody would have told me this as a young adult, or not just told me, but showed me, but made me understand. You know, as a young person, if I knew how the world is, I would have began working on it from such a young age, and I would have been in a much better place now. I might have had a family, which I don't. I always wish I had a family since I was 15. Since I was 15, I wish that I had a family. Wish I was married, um, having kids. And a lot of people might relate to me now and be like, ha, I thought that too, right? I wouldn't think I would be this single for this long. The funny thing is that, I, I have money more than the average American, and I still struggle. I still can't do it. Oh, yeah, I can't imagine what does it feel like to be like at the bottom or something. Um, I hope that you stay strong, guys. I hope that we stay strong. Channel all of the negativity and all the things that you went through. Channel them into a good direction. This is the best that you could do. You cannot help but feel bad. Feeling bad is not bad. It is part of the system. You see, when you're feeling pain, you're supposed to respond to it. It's just a matter of which direction. You see, if you put your hand on a stove and it burns, then your hand is moving. It's a matter of direction. You're moving it in this direction, right? So if you're feeling pain of being lonely, of being overworked, blah blah. So this pain is pushing you to find a direction that where to move that might get you to a better place. And if it's dangerous, if it's risky, then if you're willing to take the risk, if you're so much in pain, you would take the risk. You should. And if it live a life that you're content with better than a long life being miserable. This was the biggest lie that your mom told you. Always stay safe. Always stay safe, son. Just eat good and be fat. Eat. Maybe your grandma as well. And she is not, your mom and your grandma, when they do that, they mean good. They're not evil. They mean very good. They're caring about you. It's the thing is that the women don't understand you're a man. You are more in touch with the brutal reality of the world. These women, they have been mostly sheltered. They have no idea what they're talking about. They're nice, they're well-meaning, but they have no idea what they're talking about. So you gotta know this, right? If you wanna move forward, be thankful to them. Be thankful to those people in your life who are caring about you, the woman, your mom, your grandma. But don't let yourself be spoiled by them. Don't believe them. Never believe them. Say yes and thank you. Don't believe them. But yeah, reach about 30 minutes now. Well, it's 28 minutes and something. So yeah, this is. I don't really have a lot more to say. I just wanted to share that. So see you at a different time.